Hello, and welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. And you guys, we are sitting on a freaking gold mine. Everyone, regardless of what industry you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur, a stay-at-home mom, or work in the 9 to 5, this is an opportunity that you should take advantage of right now because it is changing the world. And the people that are the early adopters are going to have the biggest opportunity for wealth and growth in this industry. And it's no surprise I'm talking about AI. I know I've had quite a few AI episodes so far, but I'm so passionate about it. And there's so much that I'm learning. And I want to share it with all of you because I think back to when the internet like really started picking up, and think about like the dot-com bubble, right? In the very beginning, anyone that jumped on getting a website, like even just simply getting a domain, they were selling those for so much money. And eventually, there was the bubble burst or whatever, because it eventually got so saturated, everyone was in on it. But those people in the very beginning had huge gains. You look at the next big revolution, which was social media. The people who started out as, like, I'll say influencer, but figured out a way to use social media to grow a following, to start a business, they're huge. A lot of the early YouTubers blew up. The early podcasters, people that started, a few years before I did, they blew up because they got in early. They could see the opportunity and where it was going, and they figured out a way to use that to share and do what they love, whether that was building a website in the dot-com era, whether it was starting a social media account on something they were passionate about, or a YouTube account or a podcast. The early adopters have so much to gain. And we are in that same scenario now with AI, and it's starting to pick up a lot of steam. And we're going to see the same thing happen where it is going to completely revolutionize the world in a way that makes the internet and social media look like nothing compared to what AI is going to do and how it's going to change the world. And right now, what I see and what goes on in my own head is there's two sides to the coin. There's the very exciting, oh, this is so amazing. It's so convenient. It's doing all of these things, making our life easier. And then there's the other side where it's quite terrifying because we just don't know exactly what's going on and when it's going to reach this AGI or super intelligence and what that's going to look like. And I think it's healthy to have a good perspective on both sides of the coin, to understand the good and the bad, and the risks and the benefits. But being, into the law of attraction and manifestation, I really firmly believe that if we all look at it from a perspective of we're going to use this to make the world a better place, it will make the world a better place. If we look at it as this is going to be an apocalyptic end of the world thing, it's going to start steering that way, right? Like we are creating our reality and it starts with us. Okay. So if you want to make the world a better place, how do you do that? You start with you. Make your life better, more enjoyable, more abundant. Okay. You lead with your example. And that's a catalyst that then inspires other people to do the same. It's a framework that other people can use, which is exactly why I keep talking about it with you guys. You're probably like, my God, another AI episode, but I really just want to get it through to you. If you've been saying, I want to make my life easier, I want more abundance, I want to manifest money effortlessly, I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, I want to find my purpose and do something I love. I want to wake up every day and feel excited about the day ahead. I want more freedom to not just work all day, but to actually live my life, raise my kids, travel, whatever. I am telling you, without a doubt, this is an opportunity you should be acting on. It's like I'm handing it to you in a golden platter. I feel like it was handed to me on a golden platter because I was asking all those same questions, and the universe keeps throwing different AI related things in my path, and it's already very much shifting my life, my business, my income, and I that is what I want to share with everybody because it does not matter if you are an entrepreneur, if you own a business, or if you're in your 9 to 5 job. It doesn't matter if you're a stay-at-home mom with little kids or a student in high school or college. It doesn't matter if you are tech savvy or you don't know tech at all. None of that matters. And that's what I love so much about AI is if we look at it from this perspective, it levels the playing field. It doesn't matter if you have the financial resources to start a business or not. It doesn't matter if you have the technical background or not. It doesn't matter where you came from, how old you are. It literally levels the playing field. Anyone can do it. And the people that just simply say, and you set the intention, I can do this and I'm going to be successful with it, you will. I'm telling you, you will. You have to have that mindset and you have to act on the opportunity. So that's what I want to start out by saying. So if you're listening right now and there's that little tiny spark inside of you, like, I've been asking for this. I've been asking for an opportunity to fall in my lap. I am interested in it. Even if you are still at the phase where you're like, it's not possible, it's too hard, I'm too afraid. Just having that little spark, that is that is your intuition telling you to pay attention. Okay? So the whole reason I decided to do this specific episode is because I figured out a few different opportunities, but one that I am going to share in a little more detail of how to use AI to make money, like on autopilot, meaning like you use AI to build something once, you put in the work up front, and then that's it. And then you can make recurring revenue over and over and over again from it. The second reason, and really I should have said this is the first reason because this is what prompted me to do the episode, is what I'm seeing in the real world, especially in the school system and just in general on social media in corporate America. People are not taking advantage of this. They're not thinking ahead. They're not asking the questions they should be asking on what's life going to look like in a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now with AI. And how can I get ahead of that so that I can benefit from it instead of let it ruin my life because it takes over my job or I don't know how to use it and now it's in everything and I'm confused. And I don't see schools, especially, doing a damn thing to prepare kids for the future. And it's the same across the board. But I want to start talking about schools because, as you know, my oldest is in high school. She's doing dual enrollment. So it's very interesting because we get the perspective of the high school, but we also get the perspective of the college. And I am completely disappointed in both of them, which is no surprise. You guys know how I feel about school. I think we can do a lot better. But here's the thing, someone told me this a long time ago because I had started working in this nonprofit when I first was trying to get going with Instagram and with Law of Attraction Tribe. And it was all about implementing meditation in schools for young children, get them in the habit now, doing it through schools. And I heard from a lot of teachers that were like, you're the parent, you do that at home. And in good way. It's not like they were being negative, but that was the feedback I was getting. And I was like, well, yeah, why do we need to implement it in the schools? What we need to do is educate parents on how to implement it at home. And the same goes for technology and planning for the future because schools are still following the old model of go to college, you have no idea what you're going to do, but get a degree and you'll be fine. That is a lie. We already know that's a lie. Just look at the student debt issue. Look at how many graduates are getting jobs and what their salaries are versus what they owe on their degree. And it's just not working anymore, but it's really not going to be working in the very near future. So I've said this before. Obviously, if you want to go into healthcare, if you want to be a lawyer, something like that, yeah, you have to go to school for that. Absolutely. And I think there's a place for that. My daughter has no interest whatsoever in going into healthcare, and I don't blame her. I couldn't do it either. It's very, very hard. My hat goes off to anyone in the healthcare industry. So the school recommended it. I don't think it was mandatory, but that you can go and take this quiz. And you probably already know what I'm talking about because I remember taking the same quiz when I was in high school. And you put in all this information about yourself, and it pops out a list of potential careers, majors, whatever. Okay. So my daughter and her boyfriend took the quiz, and I picked them up from school. And they're reading the results to me. And okay, we'll start with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, he's, like a big, strong guy, football player. Um, his number one thing was a makeup artist. And I said, well, that's interesting. Did you put like anything about like makeup or, and he's like, no, I'm completely like, I would never want to do that. Like, I have no interest in that whatsoever. And then Alexis, who's barely 100 pounds, tiny, tiny girl, it put like construction worker. And I'm thinking like she should have gotten the makeup artist and he should have got the construction worker, but whatever, that's what it does. So we're kind of laughing about that. And so she's going down the list and reading these to me. And another one at the top of the list was a magician. I shit you not, a magician was one of her top suggested career paths. And I'm like, okay, so did you put that you're like interested in magic? And she's like, no, not like nothing even remotely close to that. And it was like a whole bunch of things like that, including jobs that I know are already obsolete. Like they're not even jobs anymore. And so we were laughing, but at the same time, it really upset me because I thought, this is the advice that teens and young adults are getting, and they don't know any better because they're not in the world yet. And they're getting these suggestions for things that are literally setting them up for failure. And it would be one thing if it was like a magician and like, so like, let's say she said she was interested in magic. It would be one thing if it gave like multiple different ways in which you could make a real living from doing that. But it didn't. It just said like magician. Like, what does that even mean? Does that mean a stage performing magician? Like, you know what I mean? So it's just, we got a good kick out of it. But at the end of the day, there was like maybe one or two things that were possibilities that she was kind of interested in out of that whole list. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to look into this more. So I looked into it and I even asked ChatGPT, where can I find some data on high in demand jobs, things like that. One of the resources was LinkedIn. So I go to the LinkedIn page, like website, company page, and they do. They have all these data sets and statistics, but guess what? They were done in 2017, before we even had AI for the public. And so I'm like, you can't go off of this. It's not going to give you accurate information. And so I thought, to hell with it. I'm going to make my own for Alexis. Like, I want her to do this to really figure out What kinds of things light me up? What am I interested in? What am I passionate about? What are my values? What type of lifestyle do I want to live? This is huge. I've explained this to her so many times. If you want to go to college, fine. That's fine. You're going to go to college to be an employee working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Like 98% of the jobs available with the type of degree that you would get, like meaning you're not going for a specific healthcare job. That's going to be it. And so if you want more freedom and you want this and that, then you might want to look into being an entrepreneur. But in order to be an entrepreneur, we need to figure out like what skills do you need to develop? What are you interested in? What problems do you want to solve in the world? These are all the types of questions and conversations we should be having, not just with young people. I have these conversations with adults all the time. I have these conversations with people that go through digital CEO they're in the traditional 9 to 5 and they're miserable like I was. And so they're just now later in life discovering what they want to do. I've had these conversations with people who are empty nesters. They were very dedicated parents and now their kids are moved out and have started their lives. And it's like you go through this phase of like, well, now what? You got to find yourself again. What do you want to do? And maybe what you want to do at age 65 is totally different than what you want to do at age 25. And so these questions are good for anyone, but what really just lit a fire inside of me was teenagers, high school students, college students that are just getting shit advice. And I feel like they're just being let down. They're all of the jobs, by the way, there were like 400 some odd jobs. Not one of them had anything to do with AI. So that ticked me off because that's where that's where we're headed. Every single job, no matter what industry you're in, what niche you're in, it doesn't matter. You are going to have to know how to work with AI. This isn't me saying this. This is every economist, every jobs market analyst, every tech leader, every CEO knows this and is talking about this. And I keep hearing over and over and over again, these people are saying, young people need to, if the one skill they should develop is how to work with AI, how to prompt it, how to use it as a resource. Okay. So this brings me to part two of what really ticks me off. So in school, in both the high school and the college, you are forbidden from using AI, like forbidden, meaning if you use it and they find out that you used it, you get a 0 on your assignment. And then I think if you do it again, or maybe it's like 2 more times, you can get like kicked out of school. Okay. So it's very serious. It is like you can't even say the word ChatGPT or AI in school. This is setting our kids up for failure. Okay. And I don't even want to hear it because what the teachers are saying is like, well, you have to learn how to do it yourself. You have to be able to do this. No, you don't. That is a lie. Because in the real world, right now, but especially a year from now, 5 years from now, you're not going to be doing it yourself. You're going to be working with AI and you're going to have to understand how to use it. So, what I think that we should be teaching kids, like teenagers, college age kids, is to use it. Use the different LLMs, understand how to prompt them, and understand what is going to give you the best results. Like, how can you use this and give it parameters so you get really good information? And then, how can you spot information that's not good or not true? And how can you get around that? Because there are so many ways to do that. You just have to play with it and understand it. And they're not even given the opportunity to do that because, like I said, you're immediately like you're blacklisted, you're done, you're failing the class now if you use it. So it's not surprising to me, but it's very disappointing because I look at, all of these kids that need direction, they want direction, and they're just being set up for failure. They're not learning how to go into a world where this is going to be mandatory to understand AI. Now, a lot of the homeschool programs and co-ops and hybrids and some private schools, they are using it. In fact, I'm sure you guys have all heard of the one private school, Alpha something, that they have the top test scores in the nation, and their entire curriculum is AI. It's based on AI. So again, like this is where you get this gap of people that have the resources to go to these schools and people that don't. But as a parent, as for yourself, you can take it upon yourself to learn this stuff and to use it to set yourself up for a long career or business in the future. So, when we hear about how AI is replacing jobs already and it's going to continue, start thinking about, okay, well, what would happen if my job was eliminated? Or if you're a college student and you want to go into a certain field, start like thinking, how can I use AI in this particular field or to solve this particular problem? Okay. And the other thing I want to say too that I was telling Alexis that's really funny. When I was in high school, I remember them saying you could not use the internet when you're writing papers, when you're researching, whatever, you can't use the internet. It was the same thing. And they were like, you have to know how to go to the library and find a book. And this, you have to know how to do that. You're going to have to, the internet's not like going to just be in your pocket all the time in the future. And now it literally is. Like, when's the last time you went to the library and used the catalog to find your book? And you know what I mean? It's like we look on the internet, and that is what's happening with AI. Like, we shouldn't be telling them, no, you can't do that. We should be having them use it as much as possible because this is the future. It's inevitable. They're going to have to know how to use it. If they can learn now, they're going to be miles ahead when they enter the job force, workforce. So the other thing I want to point out, because again, like the teachers and a lot of parents are making the point that it's making kids lazy. They can't think for themselves because AI is just giving them the answers. I completely disagree. As someone who literally uses AI all the time, I completely disagree. Okay. And I'm going to give you a specific example. When I began getting interested in quantum physics, and I really wanted to understand it to be able to explain scientifically manifestation and what's happening with a scientific lens, I used AI to develop my understanding. And let me tell you something, it went way, way beyond textbooks and research papers because I read those too. And they're very hard to read and they're very dry. They're not giving you different perspectives. They're giving you just dry data. And one of the questions that came up from reading those, looking at the double slit experiment and these different studies that have been published, I was like, why did all of this drop off in the 1930s? What happened? I don't get it. It's like everyone was studying consciousness and the spiritual side of things, and then that's it. It went away. AI was able to look at the patterns, pinpoint the point that this broke away, and then make the connection that it was World War II that played a big role because that's when the government got involved in steering the direction of science and funding, scientific projects that had to do with materialism and not spirituality. So, like, when you have questions or theories, it's helping you dig deeper and expand on them. And a textbook isn't going to do that. A research paper isn't going to do that. And it can go scour the internet and find patterns and find things that you may miss because you can't read every book that's ever been written on quantum physics, right? So the way that I look at it is it's like having a conversation with Einstein, Nikola Tesla, and Walter Russell all at once, helping me understand this world that we call reality with out of the box thinking and how I can use science to work with that, to manifest, to attract things into my life, to shift my reality. And so I argue that it's not making you more lazy, it's actually developing critical thinking skills and creative thought, which we haven't done in forever. I mean, look at your whole schooling. You're taught to memorize, pass the test, and then you forget about it. I remember maybe like a handful of things that I learned in high school because I was memorizing it for a test. Now, if you would have given me AI and I could explore all of these things that I'm fascinated by, it would be a completely different game. And that's what I saw with quantum physics. It's such a dense, very complicated topic. And I feel like I got a PhD in it in months with AI that would have taken me my entire life to build up going through the traditional schooling system. So that's the light bulb that went off in my head. And I don't remember what tech leader it was, but he said, AI is basically like having Einstein teach you any subject in the entire world that you want to know and mastering it in 3 months. And you just don't get that in college or anywhere else, right? So I think we need to shift our thinking a little bit that this is a resource. And again, if kids aren't taught this, then you can say, yeah, maybe they will end up using it to cut corners and to be lazy. But if you sit them down and teach them that, hey, pick a topic, it could be any topic at all in the world that you're interested in. Everybody has something they're interested in, and go and start researching that with I guarantee you would get a lot of engaged students and kids that come up with all sorts of out of the box thinking and innovations and ideas. And not just kids, adults. Like I'm 40 and I just did the whole thing with quantum physics. And that's how Quantum Catalyst came about. Because I was like, holy shit, like everyone should know what I just figured out here. And so that's how that was born. So that's my whole point is we got to shift our thinking and start thinking for yourself. If there was one thing that I absolutely love, that lights me up. And if I knew without a doubt that this thing would help the world, it would create wealth for me, would I take the time to dive into it? Yeah, that is what AI is giving you. Okay, so what I ended up doing, let's just start with the test that Alexis took, where she put in all of her interests and then got a ton of nonsense results. That pissed me off. So I created a whole bunch of things to help with that. Okay. So the first thing, I made my own career clarity. Well, let's start with a guided journal that she's going through to help you find your purpose and find your career path. So it's going over everything you're interested in, everything you're naturally good at, any hobby, any passion project, anything like that. Figuring out what kind of lifestyle you want to live, where you want to live, what your work life would be like. Anything you can think of, it's taking all that information, right? So you do that on your own. And it's a great exercise for getting clear and figuring out what you want, what you truly want, not what someone else told you you should do or what you heard someone say would be a good idea, but what you truly want to do. Then I created a career clarity AI prompt guide. So after you do that journal alone with yourself, you're then going to take that data that you dug from your subconscious, and there's specific prompts in AI where you're going to take that information, give it to the AI, and it's going to help you figure out what are some opportunities that are real opportunities, things that aren't going to be obsolete, things that are out of the box, things that are innovative, and help you kind of come up with a plan. And then I took it a step further and I created, I call it the Future Path AI. So this is a GPT that I created where kids can go on there, and all of this is in there. They can go on there and it'll give them a quiz right off the bat. I say kids, anyone can go on there and it'll give you a quiz to figure out your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests, all that stuff. And it's going to do the same thing. And the whole goal is, its whole purpose is to help you get clear on what you want to do, come up with innovative possible career paths, and it has to find the fastest and cheapest way for you to get there. So if you can get these skills going through free programs or free resources on the internet in 3 months versus getting a PhD in a college, it's going to tell you the 3 month option and actually give you resources like go to this free program that Google offers, go to this, and it gives you a whole list of things that you can develop those skills in 3 months and start now. So, like, if a teenager's doing this, they don't have to wait until after college or a certain point. They can start right now. It gives them like step by step of how you can start this now. And what's great about that is they can test it out. And maybe they test it out and they don't like it. Well, at least they screwed up and failed with it while they're still living at home with their parents. And then they can go try the next thing. And it's going to give them confidence that, like, hey, I can test things out. I can try new things. I can pivot. And same goes for adults. So maybe you're in your 9 to 5 job and you're miserable. Well, this is going to give you ways in which you can start right now. You don't have to go back to school. You don't have to use 8 hours a day to do this. This is something you could do while you still have your other job that can start generating income and testing out whether or not you like this idea. And if you don't, it has a whole bunch of other ideas to try. So these are the types of things that I wish they offered in school, but unfortunately they don't, at least not in most schools. And so I created it. So I will link all of this in the show notes if anyone's interested for yourself or your kids. But then the other thing, and this is the big one, this is a huge, huge, huge opportunity. So if you've ever seen people that have online businesses and you're like, I would love to have an online business. I would love to work from my phone. I would love to have freedom throughout the day to go out to lunch on a Tuesday and without traffic, or to go to Disney on a Thursday when it's not as crowded. But I don't know what I would do. I don't even know what product I would sell because I hear this all the time. I want to do that, but I don't know what course I would make. I don't know what product I would make. This course that I just created teaches you exactly step by step how to create your own GPT. So just like I created that one, I created Quantum Mentor for the Quantum Catalyst, which is like your quantum manifestation coach. I created a homeschool GPT that writes my curriculum. Um, I'm going to teach you how to do that because it is so easy. I remember when I first learned about it, I was very hesitant because I'm like, I don't know that I have the skill set and the tech wherewithal to do this. And then when I learned how to do it and I saw how easy it was, I was like, this is a gold mine. Anyone can do this. A teenager could do this. You can do it. Your mom can do it. Like, it is so easy. It's so easy. You can do it in one day. One day, you can create a GPT. So you can create GPTs for yourself to make your life easier, to help you develop your idea into a business or whatever. Or you take that GPT and you turn around and sell it, and there's your online digital product. You've just started an online business in one day. And you can take that GPT that you created that took you one day to create, and you can now sell it over and over and over and over again to other people that are just like you that want that specific problem solved. And this could be applied to any industry whatsoever. All you have to do is think about a problem that people have that they want it solved, and then you create your GPT around that, and there you go. And not just one GPT, I've created like 5 or 6 of them now. You could create as many as you want. You could have a whole suite of GPTs that you sell as your digital product. So, this is what I'm telling Alexis, and I want all of you to know it's something that's so easy. It doesn't really take time and money. Like you can do this in one afternoon. You don't have to take out a business loan. You can start it while you're working or going to school full time. And if it doesn't work or you end up like, yeah, it's not my thing, okay, you've wasted, an afternoon of your life working on it, but at least now you have that skill. So when you do need a GPT, which I think everybody does, you know how to do it. So that's what I've come up with. I'm going to link everything in the show notes. If you're interested, I would jump on it. So the GPT course that I just talked about, creating your own GPT, if you're listening to this on Monday when the podcast episode comes out, it is launching on Tuesday. Okay, there's going to be a special launch price just on Tuesday, and then the price is going up after that. So if you're like, yeah, this sounds interesting, I think I want to do it, get it on the day of launch so you get that big discount because the price is going to go up after. So I will link everything below so you can check it out. And I say jump on it. I say if you're getting that little spark, like, yeah, this is interesting, I think I want to do this or I'm interested in it, jump on it because those that adopt these AI strategies early on are going to benefit the most than the people that wait a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road to finally get on board. So hopefully this helps if you've been asking for solutions, if you've been thinking I want to sell products online or I just want to find my passion, discover my business idea. All of this will help with that. Try it out. Let me know how it works. And I'll see you back here in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.